Thank you, Pat. I appreciate that. Yes, college ball has been unbelievable. And we are going to start with our 25 still alive. And what I mean by this is I went through the teams and I went through each conference, and I got 25 teams that could potentially still be alive for the college football playoff. Now, the SEC, there is a lot of teams still alive because of the SEC championship and their road to get there. But, like, we've talked about it in this year with the 12-team playoff, how many teams are potentially going to be able to just have hope this late in the season to get in the playoffs is insane. And this is what I'm talking about. So, like, even Ole Miss with the 2 losses, normally they'd be like, oh, shit, we're out. We can't get to the SEC championship even. It doesn't even matter. But, like, all these teams with what's above them can still get in and still get into the playoff, because if you don't know, if you're not aware, if you win your conference championship, you automatically get into the playoff. So that's huge. And like A&M still has to play Texas, so they're above. They still have to play each other. Georgia still has to play Ole Miss and Tennessee. So, like, what happens if, like, I'm not saying Georgia's going to lose those games, but if they get to 3 losses, that's a situation there. And LSU and Bama still have to play each other, which is basically going to be a playoff game. So that situation's there. In the Big Ten, Indiana still has to play Ohio State and Michigan. So, like, they could have 2 losses. Hypothetically, Oregon actually, only has to go to Michigan this weekend, and then they pretty much got a cakewalk. So I think you could pencil Oregon into the Big Ten championship game. Ooh. And then Ohio State, Penn State obviously play this weekend. And Ohio State obviously has IU too, so a lot can happen there. In the ACC, Clemson has to play Pitt still, so those two are gonna see each other for a potential make it to the ACC championship. Miami's got a similar road as Oregon. Miami's played their toughest part of the schedule. They are most likely going to be in the ACC championship game.
Congrats, Crystal Ball.
Yeah, and then SMU also has to play Pitt. Obviously, that's this weekend, so that's a big one there. And then the Big 12 is crazy.
What's that?
The Big 12 is crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't seem as crazy as I thought maybe it would be.
Well,
what's that?
Forget a couple tetes?
Well, one team at least.
Mathematically, there is a percentage chance, but like.
Oh, so there's more still alive then.
I mean, if
there's 26 still alive.
I guess if like someone's like, hey, you got a 2% chance to live, you do technically have a chance to live. But
yeah, Neil Brown's looking at that 2% saying it's looking pretty good to me.
But you're not signing up for a vacation 10 years from now.
I get it. Reality, Big 12. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. BYU's got to go to Utah still on their schedule, so that's their tough one left. And then Iowa State and K-State play in the last game of the season. But Colorado's got a nice little road there. They can make it potentially too. And then that group of 5 right there. Boise's played their hardest part of the schedule. If they win their conference championship, they are currently the leaders to be in the playoff. But the American Conference, that's Army, Navy, and Tulane. Army and Navy got to play each other. Tulane's got to play them still too. Like, the winner of that could potentially leapfrog Boise, depending on the situation. I don't even know if Washington State could get in, but they're 7-1.
Yeah, they could, right? They'd be group of 5, I think.
They would be group of 5.
But they're not a champion,
No,
though.
there's not a Pac-2 championship game. But
Interesting. I wonder how they'll deal with that.
I did Google it, and there was an article about them potentially making the playoffs. So it's possible in some sort of fashion. And then you got Notre Dame sitting at 7-1. So there's a lot of teams left that could potentially get into the playoffs.
Hey, good for Washington State, legitimately. Good for Washington State that you're having such a good run. And once again, have no idea how your commissioner or president didn't figure out a way to get you guys to a conference when literally everybody else was able to except for 2 of you. So
conference's best year.
Definitely our fault. I know that because we didn't understand the severity of the situation. Me personally, I don't think I did. I was kind of naive to it all. But it's like, what a phenomenal run for them. But when push comes to shove, who they played, how they played, without being able to win a championship, with the championship being the main indicator on who makes it in for the Power 5, I'll be excited to see the backlash of that, how that would go. I don't know how you deal with that. And somebody needs to pick up this Washington State team and do a conference. Mm-hmm. They're good football. And good football means good. Yeah. Now, I think ratings potentially with Washington, there's a lot of things being thrown whenever they ended up not joining anywhere. And, popularity and yada, yada, yada. I know they have a passionate fan base. They attacked us. Mm-hmm. Right? They have a very passionate fan base. They have a good football team. And I feel like they're only going to continue to grow. Somebody should pick them up. Some group of 5. Somebody, they got that Pac West thing that's going to potentially come together so they don't have to deal with it. But if they continue to do what they do and they end up not making it, that will be a loud conversation. But if they continue to do what they're doing and they do make it over a champion of one of these things, that's going to be a loud conversation as well. What else should we talk about, Tone Diggs?
Let's talk about Mike Elko. We've talked about the situation at Indiana and first-year coach and Kurt Cignetti and what he's done at IU. Let's not forget the dumpster fire that Texas A&M was the last few years, and what was going on there with the $75 million buyout. Mike Elko, who was at Duke for a couple years and turned them completely around, who is not a traditional, football powerhouse, and what he did there, goes to A&M, which is a full football school that will dump a ton of money into the football program. They are sitting atop the SEC standings, 5-0 in the SEC with a huge win last week against LSU, and that quarterback right there who, there's Connor Wegman started the season. Marcel comes in later in the season after Wegman gets hurt. He was unbelievable, and the job that Elko's done already at Texas A&M's been awesome.
Yeah, Marcel Reed went to high school in Nashville, I believe, because remember, we were sitting on a game day set whenever they didn't know what the quarterback was going to look like one week. I think it was like 5 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, whatever it is. And Herb Street said, I think on air while he was giving his pick, he's like, oh yeah, this guy was quarterback for my kid's high school team. He is electric. Great kid, hardworking dude, yada, yada, yada. He goes and starts playing for a couple games for Texas A&M. I think Elko says can't lose a job because of an injury. I think Elko feels obligated to do that. Wegman goes back in. They win. They continue to win, but the offense looks a bit stagnant. Him making the switch to Marcel Reed in the middle of that game was immediate. I mean, it was just a lightning rod. And what he's been able to do, obviously, everywhere he's been on the defensive side of the ball, massive brain. But if they're able to have an electrifying offense like he had with Riley Leonard at Duke, at Texas A&M, with this environment and this atmosphere in the SEC, with a fan base that has been desperate for them to be a winner. Think about how much money they paid Jimbo to leave.
Yeah.
That's how much they want to win.
Crazy.
They paid somebody that much money to leave because of how much they want to win. It's like Elko said in his press conference, the reporter said, do you think that the reason why you're connecting so well with the fan base is because your blue-collar, hard work mentality? And he said, it's also 7 wins. Let's not. And he he understands the deal. He knows exactly what the deal is. He was defensive coordinator there, so I think he feels like a great sense of pride going back in there, turning it around. He loves the community. Obviously, he loves the environment. It's like Texas A&M has everything to win. We didn't expect it to be this year, especially after what happened when game day goes down there early in the year. And then, just let Elko kind of settle in. Guy's a ball coach.
Yes, he is.
Guy is a ball coach. And then his entire speech about this isn't politician, speak. We're not just talking fast here just to get through these things. We're a real program. We're a real culture. So if you're a good player and you want to come to a real program, come here. It's like he gets it. He has to be recruiting.
Yep.
But it's going to be his guys. It's not just going to be any 5-star. It's going to be like Elko's guys. But this walkout,
I mean, it's sick.
So sick. You can sell the program whenever you have shit like that happen. And their fans for what they're going to do for the entire thing. It's like, that's an easy place to sell, I think, if you're Elko.
Yeah, you got the environment. Obviously, you got to sell to the recruits. And then speaking of recruits, you're in the second best state for high school football when it comes to Texas. So
probably third if I had to guess.
Yeah, maybe first.
Not if you're making the Hall of Fame.
That's all right. One is one. We know what one is. For one,
Pennsylvania.
Florida.
Yeah, most
you got Florida, and then probably Texas, California coming in conversation. Pennsylvania probably top 5. So probably top 5. So he's in a great spot right now.
Yeah, I mean, who's contributed the most to the Hall of Fame in great football? I mean, we'll do that.
A lot of great quarterbacks in college right now all come from one state.
What's that?
And it's Texas.
Texas is obviously phenomenal. Big. It's big.
Of course.
It's very big.
That's not Texas' fault.
And boy, no, absolutely not. And boy, they love football down there.
Hey, they spend some of those high school stadiums in Texas. I will say that they're definitely cream of the crop down there in that regard.
And it feels like they got a quarterback of the future. He's young, right, Tone? I think he's like redshirt freshman or something like that.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty young. It's like, good on you, Elko. That was a cool place. That American flag that was flying.
Huge.
That was the biggest flag I'd ever seen in my life.
They surround the top of the stadium as well.
1,000 flags or American flags around the top of it. It's like that place loves ball.
Now, and if A&M takes care of business and if Texas takes care of business, they will meet in the final week of the season, which could be a game to go to the SEC championship. So that'll be just bananas.
Historical Heisman. What do you mean by that, Tone Diggs?
Historical Heisman. So in the last 20 years, there has been, since the year 2000, so 24 years, there's been 4 non-quarterbacks to win the Heisman. And guess what? All time, there's been only 1 defensive player to win the Heisman. Now, Travis Hunter is who I am talking about. He is not strictly a defensive Heisman like Charles Woodson was. He also plays on the offensive side of the ball and has been very, very, very good at it. But him winning the Heisman, he's already doing historical things. He's the first player ever to win Big 10 or Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week and Defensive Player of the Week in the same season.
Crazy.
But what he is doing, he's currently the favorite to win the Heisman now. After, he was banged up for a couple weeks, so he dropped. But after his week last week against Cincinnati, he is back up there at the top. It would be a historical Heisman for Travis Hunter.
Yeah, old Cincinnati. What a game. Obviously, Cincinnati had an opportunity. They had only lost 2 games by like 1 point and a field goal, so we didn't really know what Cincinnati was. Colorado gets a massive win. Whenever I bring up a few weeks back to Coach Prime on game day that Travis Hunter was the second best odds for Heisman, he goes, Travis Hunter at number 2, that doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense. What are you saying? I was like, I didn't make these odds, okay? I am not sports book. It'd be cool if I was.
Wish.
It'd be very cool if I was. I'm just telling you the reality. Then he goes on a promo about Travis Hunter, all ball.
Yep.
Loves ball, doesn't drink. He streams, obviously, he has a show, has an incredible personality. Feels like he gets along with all of his teammates. It's like this guy is obviously Heisman worthy, but great for football. We are very lucky that Travis Hunter went to Colorado with Coach Prime, has been allowed to do this.
Yeah.
Most coaches, and I don't know most, I guess I haven't talked to everybody, and Travis Hunter's a different animal than anybody seemingly ever in the history of football.
That's a fair statement.
There's a lot of coaches that would be like, you got to be one or the other. We got 4 5-stars at corner. We got 5 5-stars at wide receiver. You're not going to be doing both. Coach Prime from the very beginning was like, Travis is doing both because Travis can do both, and he's the best player at both. I'm not saying other people wouldn't have recognized that, but I know Coach Prime definitely did. And the fact that he did, we get a chance to watch something that's never been done before. He is so good at the football.
I mean, it's freaky to watch. And I had the opportunity to play both ways my senior year. I had a 15-play script on offense. And, you'd be gassed, but you still go out there and play. You give it your all. This guy been able to play full-time and to be elite on both sides of the ball, too. It's not like he's just out there doing. He's going full speed. You could tell his awareness. His teammates love him. Obviously, his coaches love him. What he's doing week in and a week out basis is unbelievable. And I agree with you. A lot of coaches, super smart, super heady on both sides. A lot of coaches wouldn't let him do it. And obviously a guy who played both ways in college, in the National Football League, played 2 sports, played NFL, played MLB, so that would probably be the only coach who would have probably the balls to put him out there and play both ways. Because if he gets hurt week 4 and he's out for the season, even though everybody gets hurt in football, everybody appointed coach say, oh, why would you let him play both ways? He's going to get banged up, blah, blah, blah. So he's unbelievable, should be the first pick. Should be the Heisman right now. I think Shedeur should be a little bit higher, too, on that list.
Yeah, Coach Prime brought that up. He's like, obviously, Shedeur is leading everything, quarterback odds. And
good odds.
And he's not even really being talked about Heisman because we got Travis, and he said, "He's my son." So I was like, don't we think that was a great comment by him? Don't we think the guy who is maybe leading everything should get a little bit of a chatter? And that's because he has Travis on his team, so he kind of steals one vote from the other. It's almost like whenever Mac Jones and Devontae were together down there at Alabama. Devontae ends up winning. Mac Jones is a finalist, but I think Mac Jones understood it was going to happen. It's like Shedeur will be first quarterback off the board is what everybody's thinking, and Travis will be first player off the board. It's good work over there. Remember, Colorado wasn't shit. Like 30 years. 30 years. It'd be West Virginia because of me, but you know what I'm saying. In the entirety of it all. And then obviously a Big Ten matchup this weekend. Penn State is hosting Ohio State for our 4th top 5 matchup of the year. And we're only in October still. Now, this game will be in November, but you get it. It is early in the season for all these great matchups to happen. College football's alive. We appreciate you, Tone.
No problem, boys.
Good luck to Travis Hunter. Because he's also, incredibly physically gifted. You have to be. To be able to be. I mean, I don't think I've seen him tap out, not get into it. Okay, not
still, the conditioning.
Not even getting into it. Not even getting into it. But the conditioning, absurd. But there's multiple times where they're playing a zone, and he drops out of his zone because he sees something and gets a pit and makes a massive play. Let alone the tackle on the goal line, physical. Like he's a corner. Won him the game. Yeah, it's like
overtime.
He's football IQ through the roof on both sides. That's very abnormal.
Unicorn. Never seen it. Shohei, I mean, he's like Shohei basically in football, college football at a Division I level. Maybe it's happened at maybe lower levels. Obviously in high school, everybody plays both ways, but for him to be doing this at the highest level in college, unbelievable.
So it's obviously vastly different and much less athletic. I kicked and punted. And coming into the league, I thought I could kick and I could punt. And then people be like, nobody can kick and punt. We tried it with one guy. He missed every field goal. His punt went to shit. You got to focus on one. And also, if you get hurt, we lose 2 positions.